most of my children don't need to bring a carpenter to fix a broken stool. Mm-hmm. Have an ear to listen to your husband, to your wife. Have an ear to listen to your child, and may they have an ear also to listen to you.
Hello and welcome to the new episode of Parenting Playbook. Today I'm honored to sit with a man that I admire, a man that I love, and basically a man I have known all my life. I will let him introduce himself because I might not be able to say all he might have to say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I might as well welcome you. It's a pleasure and I'm delighted.
Okay, thank you so much. So to start, maybe you can tell us your name and probably what you do or you did in your early days as a boy and a young man before we now talk about your parenting journey.
Oh my, that is taking me back to memory lane. Anyway, my names are Smith Muturi Kiratu. Smith Kiratu, or rather Smith Muturi Kiratu, was born some 71 years ago.
So,
and yes.
So basically you're 71 years old?
Basically I'm 71 years old and I'm proud of it and still going strong.
71, wow, that is a nice age. You must have a lot of experience about parenting and everything. Maybe you can tell us, before, how many children do you have?
Well, in our tradition, we don't count children like livestock. It's a taboo. But I got some bouncing children. Beautiful, admirable. I love them all.
How many? Oh, okay, you've said you don't count them, sorry. So maybe before we start, you can tell us what you did for a career or what you're doing right now. I may
as well start by saying I was born in a humble family. When I reached the age of going to school, I attended my nursery school. And I must not forget to tell you that I was born and brought up in Kangemi. So I attended Kangemi Primary School for my primary education. I did my KPE and I was lucky to join a reputable school here in Nairobi. After that, definitely I sat for my AECE. I passed, not very well, not very badly, but I made it in an average way. From there, well, I was young, energetic. I had to face my life in one way or the other, like other children did. And I spent some time, after leaving school, I spent a few years trying to know exactly what suits me in my life. It took me quite some time, because it took me almost 10 years to know what I would be, what I would like to be. And immediately after that, I chose my career. My career, well, before I chose my career, I had already reached a stage whereby one thinks of a life partner. God is great. He gave me a one beautiful best half. And from there, life started. I must say, life started in a marriage circle. Thereafter, definitely, it goes without saying, we sired children. 1, 2, 3, bra, 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 bra. Bouncing ones, like I said, there are before. And that's it. As regards work, I didn't go for a formal kind of employment. I took time to know what I loved to do, and having been brought up by my parents who believed in agricultural activities, I started a small enterprise along a Juakari enterprise along Gemzeshoro Road, whereby I grew plants and flowers. Yeah, and I've been doing that since then. Although in between of, you know, that hustling, I thought of learning an extra language, which is French. I learned French. I did a bit of tourism studies, and I was lucky to join a leading tourism company here in Kenya. It still exists. I won't mention the name because definitely I don't know the implications.
Yeah, thank you.
And since then, planting plants, flowers, selling them, going out for safaris has been the order of the day. I've done it since then till now, although at my age, it's like I've retired, but occasionally you get some requests for those people with whom you traveled with long time ago. They come and say, I want Smith. People who like to go out with a tour driver guide who can speak French, which I do, and that's it. That's what I do until today.
Oh, interesting. Okay, maybe you can tell us a backstory of, you've already told us part of your backstory about being a parent, but what you haven't really told us is, what age did you become a parent?
Oh, surprisingly, I became a parent at between 32 years and 30 plus years.
So you became a parent past 30. Okay, hold on to that thought. I'm going to ask a question later on about that. Yeah? So maybe you can tell us, definitely 30 years ago was a long time ago. 40 to say was a long time ago as compared to right now. So I don't know if the same challenges of being a parent in this era are the same that you went through during that time. So maybe you can take us through the challenges of being a new parent back then 40 years ago.
Naturally, it comes without saying that when you start siring children, definitely you become a parent, and surely you will start parenting. Your question was if I would compare parenting then and parenting now.
Yes.
Well, I find it a bit difficult to answer your question because I parented and raised my children then when they were young. Today I'm not, I still parent them because it's a God-given duty, but yeah.
Okay, or you might not be able to compare, but what your personal experience of being a parent back then? Because you're a young man, you're energetic as you've said, and then you've just come to being a parent. Did you have problems adjusting your life from a young boy to a parent now?
Definitely it goes without saying that when you marry, you become independent of yourself, and you have dependence on you. That means you have to look for kitu kidogo, you know, to make you see through the day. Those are the only challenges. God is great, God is good, because you ask, He gives, you knock, He opens.
Definitely.
So I didn't find it so hard, although I had to put an input to have something small. Because like I go to sell my flowers, definitely I sell and plant.
Yeah.
In itself is a career, isn't it?
Yeah.
When I plant, between planting and selling, definitely there is work to do on those plants, watering, nurturing, you see. Those are probably the small things I had to learn to do on myself, because before then I was used to asking mom, asking dad, Daddy, I want this. It was provided. Now here I am. I have got some siblings. I've got some children who now calls me Daddy. Daddy, I want. So it's like father like son.
Yeah, from being dependent to being depended upon.
Depended upon.
Yeah.
That's the way.
You've mentioned that you did a little bit of tourism and you are a tour guide.
Yes.
So I take it that you spend some time away from home.
Yes.
How did you balance work life and family life?
Well, that's a difficult question because it is a kind of you take it or you leave it. Here you are employed. You have a safari probably to go to Masai Mara. You go to Masai Mara and the circuit probably will cover 7 days. Masai Mara, wapi. I found it interesting and amazing only that my young children, by then they were so young, they would ask their mommy, where is daddy? Mommy, where is daddy? When they're asking where is daddy, I've just finished a safari. I drive back home to change my safari clothes, and when the children comes, they ask, where is daddy? They are told, daddy was just here, he's gone out on a safari. So I almost thought of, why don't they write a letter? And I replied, because we hardly see each other. If you talk of challenges, those were challenges that I accepted, that my children accepted, that my children loved to accept. So I didn't find so much, but it goes without saying, I miss them.
True. Yeah, especially because that was a new phase of your life.
Exactly.
And maybe you can tell us, when it comes to family, as the head, of course you're the one, of course your wife alongside you are required to shape your children to grow up in a certain way, to instill values and everything. So what are the most important values that you felt that you needed to instill in your children back then?
Actually, thank you for asking me that question. I didn't find it a challenge. It just came, naturally, automatically. Why do I say that? Because I married a partner of my life who understood me, who wanted to do the best she could for me. So when raising up the family, she did 3/4 of the work. I only had a quarter to do, which I didn't feel. And until today, I feel indebted to what she did and what she is even doing right now. You'll be surprised. I need not bring a fundi here to fix a mabati. She's always ready. She knows how to do it. She knows the cost. So again, I feel I instilled that discipline into her to an extent I enjoy. I like it.
And most probably maybe she passed it down to your kids.
Let me say this. It's like osmosis. She had it from me through osmosis. Now the children acquired it again through osmosis. What do I mean by osmosis? It just goes, and then it goes, and then it is still going. That is one thing I'm very proud of her. She does it, and my children have taken over because most of my children don't need to bring a carpenter to fix a broken stool. Most of my children will pick up a nail, a hammer, and the thing is done. Why? Because they might have learned it from mom, and mom might have learned it from me. So it's like a merry-go-round, if I may call it. I may be wrong, I may be right, but I feel and strongly believe it's like a merry-go-round, from daddy to mommy, from mommy to children, and probably from children to my glad children.
It goes down. And you are not wrong. I think that is a very important value and character that we should look forward and make it our life's purpose to teach the next generation, because being self-sufficient is very necessary in today's world, because of course there are a lot of changes here and there, challenges here and there, and of course inflation. You're supposed to maybe fix the little things in your life and such. You have something to say?
Well, I totally agree with you, but it depends on what mommy got from me, then my children got from her, and then my children get from their mothers. It depends on what they are taking out from you. It must be on the positive side, because if you want this, you work hard for it. You pray God to give you that thing you are working for. But if I were like it goes without saying, if they were to anyway.
Okay. I think the most important point from that conversation so far is your kids will always absorb what you give to them or what they see happening in a homestead and a family setup. I think that is the most important lesson. So it's upon us as parents to pass on positive and important and positive as compared to the negative, because positive and negative mostly goes hand in hand, yeah?
Yes, and don't forget, like I was saying, my wife would not have taken that knowledge from me if I had no love for her.
Love, of course, love.
If I had no patience for her. My children would not wish to be like daddy, like mommy, if all was hate, fights, and whatever.
Yeah.
But if there was an aspect of love, they would admire to do that. So I say there must be love and cooperation.
And then the rest of the things will...
The rest of the thing, the Lord is there. The Lord God Almighty is there.
Okay, maybe you have taken us through some values and habits that you instilled to your children, of course, through your wife. Maybe you can tell us some... Do you have family traditions that kept you grounded and kept your family together?
In a family setup, can you repeat your question?
My question is basically, did you have any family traditions, something that you know, maybe Christmas, maybe...
Oh, I get you. Traditions or not traditions, when there is that love between you and your and your children and wife, there comes a time when you say, oh, and that goat there, oh, Nani, bring the knives, let us slaughter. If that is what you mean by that, that tradition has always been with me. Every Christmas, God is good. He provides a goat. He provides nowadays he provides a chicken because it is only me and my wife. But when my children were all in the house, God provided a goat there. So if that is the tradition you mean, that is what my father did, and I continue doing. And I hope and trust I'll still continue doing it, and my children will take it from there, only on good faith. Only if there is that
love and to sense
exactly,
of togetherness.
Yeah, the sense of wanting the sense of togetherness.
Quite interesting, because nowadays people have adapted to the term man for himself and God for us all. So mostly people don't come together anymore for such celebrations and stuff. But it's good to know that having such as traditions will go a long way into shaping your family, because at the end of the day, when you're together, you have to share love, and you've said love is the most important value.
And ideas. And through sharing love, ideas, there are those good ones that you will try to implement, either for your younger sibling or for your older sibling, that brings you together. This idea of God for us and everybody for himself, that's not very good.
I agree. I totally agree.
That's not very good.
Maybe as we are almost finished, so as we go to our finish line, what advice would you have for parents, of course from your own observation and from your own experience? What would you advise parents right now, the new parents and
the new parents? Let's start from before that age become apparent. Definitely, if you are a lady, you will meet a man.
Yes.
Get that man, get that lady that you feel, you are sure of, that you'll make it in thin and thick. You can only do that if that lady, that man has that aspect of love. Not for just that day, even for future, whether you are lame, whether you are sick. If that love will persist, that is where now you start. About you and your children, I would always, and I would certainly advise the young generation that are going into parenthood to love, to cherish, their children and their spouses with love every door is open. Have an ear to listen to your husband, to your wife. Have an ear to listen to your child. And may they have an ear also to listen to you. Evaluate, talk about it in an open way. Daddy, I want to do driving. Okay, fine, but what class of a car do you want to drive? Do you know? He might just think, I just want to drive a small car. Advise him or her, get a heavy commercial license that will enable you to drive that big car and that small car. Because now that is why I say you can build each other that way. You see? Because if you get a license for the small car, then you cannot drive a lorry. But if you get a lorry driving license, you drive up to that small car. That is listening to each other, trying to improvise on each other, but again, on love.
On love. Love is the ultimate goal.
Ultimate goal.
Yeah. So I'd love to tell our audience that Mr. Smith here have a very an amazing relationship with his kids, and I know that because I'm one of them. I'm his third born, so I know he has a very nice relationship with us, father-daughter and father-son relationship with us. So I'd love you to tell us, what do you cherish most about the relationship you have with your kids?
I cherish everything to do with my family. And I would take, if that cherishness was a check, a banker's check, I would be very happy because I would walk right into the bank and withdraw. Why? Because it goes without saying.
Because without saying, he will be a rich man.
Oh, praise.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe as we wind up, this is maybe our last, the last stretch of this conversation. What message do you have for your kids?
One, if I got your question right, one, the message I would have them to have from me is that, one, I love them. Two, to work hard. Three, to be the managers of their affairs. On the positive side.
Okay.
That way they'll make it.
Work hard. Move with love.
Yes.
And be managers to your affairs.
Yes.
And you will make it.
Thank you.
Wow, such an interesting conversation. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of it for this. Maybe we should have a part 2, hopefully and probably, and demystify more about the parenting, given that these are two very different generations, and there is a lot between there. You can learn from them. I can learn from their generation. But for today, that has been it, ladies and gentlemen. This has been my father, Mr.
Welcome.
Smith, whom I love so much.
And whom I love so much.
And I cherish so much.
And I also cherish you so much.
Thank you so much.